Euphoria's finale was not bad television. It was actually well-made, well-acted, and emotionally powerful in parts. The problem is, it barely felt like Euphoria, because somewhere between the Western shootout energy, the extended Ali material, and the sidelining of almost every main character, the show stopped feeling like a conclusion to the story we spent 3 seasons following. And that is why so many people walked away from this finale feeling not angry, not heartbroken, but disconnected. Hey, what's up everyone? Come back to Breakdown Epic. Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers. Now today we are talking about why the Euphoria Season 3 finale did not fully work as an ending to the show, and more importantly, how I think it should have ended instead. Because I genuinely believe there was a version of this finale that could have been devastating, satisfying, and emotionally complete. The pieces were all there. The show just assembled them in a way that left too many of the characters we cared about most standing in the background while Ali took center stage.
And look, Coleman Domingo was incredible, genuinely award-worthy. That is not the issue. The issue is that this was supposed to be the farewell to Rue, Cassie, Maddie, Jules, and Lexi, and most of them barely felt present. Let me break down why. The biggest structural problem with this finale is screen time distribution. Ali dominated the episode. His monologue was powerful. His emotional arc worked. His performance was one of the strongest the show has ever produced. But here's the thing. He was barely in this season before the finale. He appeared briefly in episode 1, showed up properly in episode 7, and then suddenly became the emotional center of the entire concluding episode. That is a massive shift, and personally, I think it threw off the balance. Because when you're watching a finale, you're not just watching a great episode of television. You're watching a goodbye. You're expecting to sit with the characters you have followed for years and feel something specific about their endings. And this finale did not give most of them enough space to land properly. Cassie's closure was there, but felt rushed. She regrets choosing money over Nate. She mourns him alone. That works thematically, but it needed more room to breathe. Maddie gets freedom after Alamo dies. That is satisfying on paper, but emotionally it happens so quickly that it barely registers before the episode moves on to something else. Jules honestly felt like an afterthought for most of the season, and by the finale, her presence was so thin that her ending of being stuck in a life she chose but does not want landed with almost no emotional weight. And Lexi realizing she needed more empathy and less judgment is a nice arc, but again, it gets maybe 2 minutes of actual focus. That is the core problem, not bad writing, just wrong allocation. Now, let's talk about Rue, because I actually think her death scene was handled beautifully. In fact, it might be the best single sequence in the finale. The way the show lets you believe she woke up, then slowly reveals what is actually happening as her life flashes, the music, the hand reaching for her mother, the quiet transition from reality into something softer, all of that is genuinely powerful filmmaking. And the choice to have her die quietly on the sofa instead of violently at the hands of Alamo or Lori is actually much smarter than the louder version would have been. Because it says something real about how addiction often ends, not in a dramatic showdown, not in a blaze of consequences catching up, just silence, just a body giving up when nobody is watching. That hurts. But here is where my opinion gets controversial. I do not think Rue should have died. I think the stronger ending for her character was always prison. The entire season positioned her as a narrator telling a story. That framing felt like someone writing from somewhere, reflecting, looking back. And the version of the ending I kept expecting was one where Rue survives, but her life as she knew it is over. She goes to jail for the things she did, and behind bars, the faith she spent the season reaching for becomes the thing that actually holds her together. That ending preserves the tragedy without removing her from the world entirely. It still punishes her choices, it still costs her everything, but it does it in a way that feels like consequence rather than finality. And honestly, it would have made the narration feel more meaningful. Because then every episode would retroactively become a confession, a memory, a written account of how she ended up in the place she is now. Now let me explain the full version of how I think the finale should have gone. The Lori material at the beginning should stay. That tension was well built, and Rue escaping worked. But instead of going to Alamo afterward, she should have gone to Ali. That is where she would learn that her mother has been taken as leverage by Bishop and Alamo.
And that is where the real dilemma begins. She would have to choose between running or going back to save her mother. And for the first time all season, she would choose sacrifice over survival. Ali goes with her. They confront Bishop and Alamo. The Western energy can still exist, but now it involves characters we are emotionally invested in, not just style. Rue kills Bishop. Ali kills Alamo but gets fatally wounded in the process. Ali dies having finally saved someone he refused to lose. That gives his character the most earned emotional exit possible. He spent the whole season talking about a book of names he could not save. In this version, his final act is making sure Rue does not become another name. Then the police arrive.
Rue's mother is safe, but Rue is arrested. Wayne's body has been found. Bishop's death is on her. And now the transformation she chased all season costs her everything, but in the most symbolic way possible. She is alive, but her life is gone. And in that jail cell, the faith that once felt like a metaphor becomes the only real thing she has left. That, to me, is a stronger ending. Now, the rest of the characters benefit too. Without Alamo's debt hanging over them, Cassie and Maddie are finally free. But free does not mean healed. It means standing in the aftermath, trying to figure out what their lives look like without someone else controlling them. Jules stays trapped. That is fine thematically, but I would have given her one more scene. One moment where she stares at a canvas and you can see the war between comfort and passion still happening behind her eyes. That is all she needed, just one more beat. And Lexi finally begins writing, not about other people this time, about herself. Now here is the part that really matters to me. Bishop's betrayal. The finale never fully explained why he turned on Alamo. Some people say it was about Maddie. Some say it was survival instinct. And honestly,
If the real answer is that Bishop betrayed a man he served for years simply because he liked Maddie after a few conversations, that is weak. That is not character development. That is a plot shortcut. Bishop was loyal, brutally loyal. The show built that into him from the beginning. So for his betrayal to work, it needed something deeper, maybe fear, maybe self-preservation, maybe a realization that Alamo would eventually consume him too. But liking Maddie alone does not carry enough weight to justify what he did. And that matters because the whole season used snake imagery as its central motif. If the final snake in the story acts for a reason that feels thin, then the metaphor loses its teeth. So overall, do I think the finale was terrible? No, it was well made, beautifully performed, emotionally effective in specific moments. But as a conclusion to Euphoria, it lost its identity. It stopped feeling like a farewell to the characters we followed and started feeling like a different show wearing Euphoria's skin.
The Ali material was powerful, but it came at the cost of Rue, Cassie, Maddie, Jules, and Lexi getting the screen time they needed. And when a finale makes you feel more connected to a supporting character than to the people who built the show, something important got lost along the way. But anyway, that is my breakdown of how Euphoria should have ended and why I think the finale worked as television but not quite as a conclusion. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments. Do you think Rue should have died, or do you think prison was the stronger ending for her character? I will catch you in the next one.